This is Star Wars in Character, the podcast that takes a closer look at some of the characters in the Star Wars universe you probably never noticed. Backstories, histories, and details you never knew, wanted to know, or ever need to know. Now here are this week's panelists of Star Wars in Character.
Today we are talking about Amanaman. Amanaman appears in... How long does this go for? Matt, I did that for you, man.
Oh, thank you.
He appears in episode 6. Yeah, 6.
All right.
6, Return of the Jedi, who my son watched today with me and calls him the banana guy.
Banana guy?
Banana Man.
Banana Man. You know, I never even thought of banana.
Banana Man.
Banana Man. Wait. Banana Man. All right, I'm trying something new here. Ready?
Oh, God.
My name is... I've got a bad feeling about Chris.
Jesus Christ.
What do you think about that one now?
Not bad. I'm just afraid what this is going to lead to in the future.
Well, what's weird is that I was thinking about doing this, and then Dave came over tonight, and he already had this idea written down. And I go, I love you.
So once again, you've contributed nothing to the show.
I had an idea.
Let's read.
All right. I am joined by, to my right, the Force will be with you all days.
Jesus
I am joined by Matt Snow Moon.
Tim's liking him.
That's a good one.
And the one who has all the facts that he reads from a computer. Ready? I was going to do the Timshi station to buy some power converter.
I think he added 3 more words to that line.
I did. I turned right at the Mos Eisley Cantina and the power converters. Timshi?
Yes.
Give some facts about this guy. That was perfect timing. Go ahead, Tim.
Amanaman. Okay. Well, Amanaman or Amanaman is the nickname given to the male Amani that we see in Jabba's palace. It's unknown what his actual name is.
Oh, well, that was my first question.
Yeah, his species is the Amani, but no one knows what his real name is. So around the palace, they just call him Amanaman.
Okay.
Yeah, there it is. That's all I got. No, there's actually not much known about this character. He's a bounty hunter. It says he's a successful bounty hunter, but there is zero information on any of the bounties that he has taken.
I am hoping that he doesn't chase anybody because he can't.
But he can.
But he can, yes, and we'll get into that.
Okay.
Ooh.
Go ahead.
Yes. Well, for the most part, since there's actually that's all the information we have on the character we actually see in Jabba's palace. Most of the information that I have is actually about his species, the Amani, who come from the planet Meriden. Meriden is a primitive grassy planet, and we've actually seen this planet in the Clone Wars. We saw it in, I believe it was near the beginning of episode, or near the beginning of season 2. I think it was season 2. There were 2 episodes called Jedi Crash and Defenders of Peace where they crash on Meriden, and they run into this species called the Lurmen, which kind of look like lemurs or meerkats. We don't see any Amani in this episode, but it's on the planet that these guys are native to. But there's no Amanis in this planet. We have not seen an animated Amani yet.
I just can't believe that this isn't even his name. This is one of the most obscure people we've done. If there's no information about him and they don't even know his name, that's pretty damn obscure.
That is, yeah.
You'd think he's hanging out there at Jabba's palace. He's been there for a while. You'd think he'd at least lean over to someone and whisper, what his name is. Robert.
Robert.
Or Pierre or something. But no, I guess he doesn't talk to anybody there. He just hangs out in the corner playing with his staff of heads.
which I actually got a kick out of that. He reminded me of like Predator, which he saved all the skulls.
Yeah.
Of all of his head hunting out there.
But I think it's kind of funny that he's a bounty hunter. He's like the lost bounty hunter. Everyone loves bounty hunters in Star Wars, but this bounty hunter, there's nothing about.
You're right. That's a great point. I'm surprised I'm surprised there's not even a story out there about the heads on the stick.
Yeah,
really.
Well, you said you found something about the skulls in Jabba's palace. It is cool, and like you said, like I want to know more about this guy because for whatever reason he's kind of fascinating.
He is, but he doesn't look threatening or dangerous.
So I disagree. I'm scared to death of this guy.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. I guess it's just because of his size. Like, to me, size is always scary. Is that, I mean, I guess his immobility makes him less scary, but it sounds like there's more to that too. Yeah,
I guess his species are bounty hunters / headhunters. They're real good at hunting and tracking. So I guess they take pride in that. So in Return of the Jedi, you see his staff has 3 or 4 skulls on there, and he's very proud of those 3 skulls. So he displays them proudly on his staff.
Yeah, I want to know, like Chris said, like this is very reminiscent of Predator. Well, Predator came after, so I don't know if I was ripping this off, but right. I mean, not really. But if those 3 skulls are on there and he's proud of those, I want to know who they are. Like, I want to know, why are those 3 special?
I don't know. I don't think anybody's written that story. Timothy Zahn, please write this story, Timothy Zahn. I'm sure he listens.
Oh, how could he not?
Yeah. Well, I mean, how is he going to get ideas for his stories if he doesn't listen to us? But for those who don't know who Amanaman is, you see him very, very briefly in Jabba's palace. And the scene that I know him most at is when we first see Han and Carbonite hanging there on the wall. You just see Amanaman sort of bend.
He takes like 10 minutes leaning over to look at Han frozen on the wall. Yeah,
yeah, that's his shining moment in the movie. He does pop up very briefly in a couple other shots, but that's his close up.
Yeah, I timed that scene. That's 7.2 seconds.
Yeah,
really? That's pretty damn long.
Because he turns to look at him, and it does, like Chris said, take a while for him to swing that melon around, and then they do another cut shot of like Jabba, and it goes back to him, and he looks like he's laughing.
Yeah, he bends over, right?
And his head bounces. That huge friggin' melon. It just bounces. And it looks like he's laughing. So you combine those 2 things, and it comes out to about 7.2 seconds.
And what's weird, for the first time, I saw toys. I saw an actual playset, whatever, that has a Tauntaun head on the wall. I finally, the first time ever, I finally saw it live when I watched this movie.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Is that because it's on Blu-ray finally?
Wait. Whoa, what?
When they show Han frozen when Leia's walking over to it on the wall is like a deer head, but it's a Tauntaun head.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I've never seen that.
And I saw like a toy from Sideshow or somebody that has a Tauntaun head in there. Oh, that's pretty. I thought they did it for a toy.
Right.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
That's the end of the movie. I never knew.
Yeah.
That came up I'd say like maybe 2 years ago. Chris had a copy of Star Wars Insider, and I came over for whatever reason. And you were like, look at this. You were so excited. And you show me, and we're like, lifelong Star Wars idiots. And looking at this picture, neither of us had seen it. It is exactly when Bouche is walking in as she's getting closer. It's always been shadowy.
Yes.
They took this picture and they lightened it up, and it's mounted like a freaking buck that
to the left.
shot.
And to the right is, I want to say something else, like a Rancor kind of thing or something, another big head to the right.
It's awesome.
It is awesome.
Not that it has anything to do with Amanaman.
Other than he's standing right there. But yeah, the Amanaman, and again, when you look at them, you wouldn't think this, but according to the research I found on the Amani species, they are very powerful beings in terms of strength. They're very strong, and they're actually prized slaves for their strength. They're kind of like Wookiees, where during the Galactic Empire, they went to Meriden and enslaved as many Amani as they could get their hands on, because they were great workers and hunters, working for the Empire, building things. So very much like a Wookiee, I guess. But they were really good hunters because they have again, I don't see any nose on this thing, but it has a very keen sense of smell.
Okay. You said you found something about like how there was 32 skulls.
Supposedly it says he had 35 heads displayed on posts around Jabba's palace complex.
That's cool.
It is cool. And supposedly he has a dead, dried, decapitated corpse right next to him that he like drags around as his woobie.
You know what? I was wondering about that. They released an action figure for him. He's only had 2 action figures made, as far as I know. Yeah. And the second one that came out about 10 years ago came with like a dried up skeleton.
Yeah.
It was a deluxe figure. It came with a dried up skeleton. It came with his staff, and it came with a very sassy little Salacious Crumb figure for some reason. Salacious Crumb was like sort of striking a sassy Beyonce pose in the package.
This is awesome. I'm looking at this picture. Chris has a picture with this body.
I think I'm looking at the same one. Yeah.
Decapitated woobie.
My woobie. This is like as close as Star Wars has crept into the horror genre.
Well, what's cool is like this, of all the characters on a background, tell me fucking more about this guy.
Dude,
I want more.
This guy's like hostile.
Are you sure you want to hear more?
Oh.
All right. Interesting fact about the Amani. Not only do they eat with their mouth, which they can widen and eat like animals whole, like a snake. They also expel their quote unquote biological waste.
Oh God!
Also,
so he can talk shit.
And he
literally
eats.
Phenomenon. And as was pointed out a little bit, he literally talks shit. It says that they on one of the pages I was looking at, it says that they understand that in most cultures around the universe this is frowned upon, so they generally do this in private.
Well, that's
I would hope so.
I would hope so. Yeah, like all of us. Not many of us do this in public.
I do.
That's why nobody knows. That's why nobody knows.
You mean not many of the 4 of us? Or how specific are you talking?
He must have like a big ass carton of like Tic Tacs all the time with him.
That's what he carries.
Nobody
in his
knows
movie.
his name because they don't want to ask him, because as soon as he opens his mouth,
my name's Amanaman.
This chronic halitosis comes out that smells like.
You smell like shit.
Oh my God.
So in a way, you don't know if the corn he's eating is food.
Come on. It's this endless cycle.
I was trying to think of a corn joke earlier, and I couldn't think of one that was funny. That was not too bad.
Best fact ever.
Once again, toilet humor saves the episode.
Yes. Okay, now it was pointed out earlier that he has these little tiny stubby legs, and they're not very good walkers. They're very slow. But just like the Lurmen, as we saw in that episode of Clone Wars, these guys are able to roll themselves up like Sonic the Hedgehog and roll at really high speeds. They can roll up.
Coins?
What's that?
They get coins?
Well, in certain parts of the country, I think.
Okay.
But yeah, they can roll at like really high speeds. They can roll up to 50 kilometers per hour.
Yeah,
you were right. You should have stopped back then.
Yeah, I saw that in a comic once. That's the only other time I've ever seen them was in this comic. I think it was an issue of Empire. I think. I'm not even sure that's right. And they were like I think it goes along with the story Tim was telling about them being slaves. I think they were, someone, I don't even think it was the Empire, so I'm not sure that it was the Empire line, but someone kept coming them and trapping them as slaves and whatnot. And this issue was about their final revolt. And that's how they like attacked the people as they were coming towards their village or whatever. They all rolled up and just rolled at them.
Yeah, that's from an issue called Empire to the Last Man.
Oh, so it isn't one of the Empires? Okay.
Yep. That's from one of those comics.
All right.
Yeah, that's generally where the Amanaman really make their mark is in the comics. And there's a few really cool pictures that I found. There's one of it looks like stormtroopers attacking them, and these Amanaman are just like towering over them using those huge arms, just crushing them down. It's a really neat picture. And there is a picture of the Amanaman or the Amanan rolled into a ball.
Oh,
so yeah, there's some really neat images out there of this species. Another interesting little fact is they're kind of worm-like, and that you can cut an Amani in half.
Oh boy, here it comes.
And then you can get two Amani. All of a sudden, it's like hello. They'll create two separate beings because they have multiple organs, redundancy in organs. So they have like two stomachs, two hearts, two brains. So they're able to recreate themselves in if you cut them in half.
This is why I'm with Dave. I don't like them. They freak me the crap out because they remind me of like giant leeches, which I don't like. Yeah. Leeches freak me out. So that I'm with Dave. They scare the hell out of me too.
The size that scares me. They kind of remind me of that guy. He used to be on Howard Stern. His name's Matthew McGrory. And he ended up House of a Thousand Corpses. He passed away.
Oh yeah.
He was in Big Fish. They remind me of that guy, and just the sight of that guy in any movie, I'm immediately put off by it. It's to me, this costume, it's a pretty ambitious costume for 1983. Like, most of the people in Jabba's palace are dudes in masks, and they're cool, don't get me wrong, but this guy stands out. It's pretty ambitious to do something like this back then.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. He, I mean, it's a puppet, but yeah, when you see it in regular lighting, it looks like a hot mess. It just looks like a piece of shit that someone put out there. But in the lighting in the movie, it's actually a pretty neat looking character when you see them very quickly there in the film.
Yeah.
In terms of information about the species and about the actual character, that's all I have in terms of actual character material. The only other stuff that I have is some behind the scenes information. Elisa Burke was the puppeteer for Amanaman, and in the credits for Return of the Jedi, she's merely credited as a mime artist. So she's not even given the name puppeteer, even though that's really what she is.
Well, how did she operate it? Was she inside it?
No, I'm guessing if you saw how they created C-3PO in episode 1, where he was a puppet, but he was on long sticks, I guess, posts, and there was a guy that was able to maneuver the C-3PO puppet. I think that's how they worked the Amanaman in terms of the hands. I think the hands were mainly just large sticks, and maybe a pole to push the head down or something. There's not a whole lot of behind the scenes photos that I was able to see exactly how this worked.
And you guys have not met her?
We did. We met her very briefly, and we do have her autograph on our poster. We met her at one of the Wizard World Philadelphia's a bunch of years back. And if I remember correctly, she just sort of looked like someone's aunt.
What was weird is that she had to go to the bathroom. She leaned over and shook him out of her mouth.
I had already forgotten that fact.
And then she rolled up a no ball and she left.
I'm out of here.
And then someone cut her in half and she was two, and her line split.
Two hearts, two stomachs, no rectum.
My Elisa Burke autograph on my trilogy poster. you can barely see it. She signed it real light, white, like literally at the absolute bottommost part of the poster that, I can barely see it. I have to, like, if I'm handing my poster off to somebody to have them sign it, I have to make sure that they don't put their pen down over her name because you can barely see it there on my poster.
Uh-oh.
Tim, we hate to tell you this, but Chris has your poster. We actually sold your poster.
Oh, you son of a bitch.
$1.80.
Oh, well, that's a bargain. But going back to Lisa Burke, she's had a pretty good career as a puppeteer and mime artist in other productions. Most notably, she was in a bunch of episodes, worked on a bunch of episodes of the David Tennant, Matt Smith, Doctor Who. She was a Wheeler in that one of my all-time favorites movies, Return to Oz. And she was also in she was also Kala, Tarzan's ape mother in Greystoke, the Christopher Lambert movie. And we mentioned earlier he's had 2 action figures. One, we talked about the one that came out about 10 years ago, but he was one of the final figures released in the Power of the Force line back in 1984, and that figure's quite valuable these days. If you're going to pick one up loose, you're going to be spending the $50 to $100 range.
This is the thing that I know most about him, is that I had 2 of those.
Oh. Did you cut one in half? Yeah, then you had 2.
No, I actually had 2 separate ones.
Okay.
And I had the one I had because it came with the Jabba's Dungeon playset.
Mm-hmm.
And I had it from that. And then somebody, got it for me as a gift on the Power of the Force card. And I sold them both on eBay, like many years back. And I'm not going to tell you what I got for them, but it was a good chunk of change. And the one, I think maybe the one from Jabba's Palace, I sold it and I had misplaced the staff. But then, like, after I sold it, I found the staff. I sold the staff alone for like $40.
Holy shit.
I did the same thing. My old housemate, Jeremy, he didn't have the figure, but he still had the staff. And this was back when I was really big into eBay, and I sold the staff, and it went for like $30 or $40. It was just for the accessory.
Yep.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Just the staff. I sold them both, and that to me, like Tim said, I sold a lot of stuff, and I do regret it to a certain extent now, because my son has inherited anything that I had left. I would have liked to probably have given him everything, but it was lucrative. Tim's right. Those 2 figures alone netted more money than several together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's up there. He's one of the. He's even more like prized than like the blue snaggletooth or the yak face figures, which are 2 legendary, expensive figures in the Star Wars line. But he's up there. He's one of the more valuable ones in the entire Star Wars figure line. If you wanted to get an original Power of the Force one on a card, you could end up spending upwards about $400 for one.
Wow!
So he's a pricey one.
Well, Tim, are those Power of the Force figures? Are they worth more, do you think, than the original Kenner figures they are, or all?
What do you mean, like the ones from that Power of the Force line from 1984?
Like, I always thought those were hard to find, which I don't think I never got.
That's
why
they're valuable, because people are buying them.
They came out in 1984, a full year and a half after Return of the Jedi came out, and by that point, kids had moved on. Transformers and G.I. Joe had really, and even He-Man to a certain extent. I'm remembering this from my youth.
You mean let me just follow, because this is like in a major lull when I was collecting. This is like the original Power of the Force, not those new green and orange back ones that the whole world bought, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
These are the ones that came with, like, some of them will come with a coin.
Okay. Okay. All right. Follow you now.
Yeah. Yeah. The only one of those figures I remember ever getting was the Death Star gunner. I don't remember getting any other figures than that. But at that point, as I said, a lot of kids my age, which were huge Star Wars fans, had moved on to other things like, Transformers, GoBots, and that sort of stuff. So Star Wars had sort of hit a lull there after the Christmas of 83 and into 84.
GoBots. I like how you put GoBots in that list. We're big GoBot collectors.
They were the cheap versions. They were the cheap versions of Transformers. If you couldn't afford an Optimus Prime, You just spend $5 and buy like Wreck-Gar.
They were so crappy. It's like you put them flat down on the wheels. They're a car. You stand them up on their top. They were a robot. That was it. They didn't transform or anything.
Nothing.
But I watched the scenes, timed it out. My son and I scoured these scenes to see where he was. And Tim, you said he popped up here and there. I never saw him again after that thing. I'm kind of curious where you saw him. And I certainly didn't see him on the sail barge. So I want to know, did he meet his maker on the sail barge?
You know what? There's no information about him actually being on the sail barge. I would have to say that in terms of the expanded universe, I would say that he would still be alive.
I don't know. I think Lando might have dumped a sack of salt on him before he left the palace.
He shriveled him up, put him in his pocket, and put him around the sand.
It actually says here that he was seen during the Max Rebo Band performance.
Okay.
He was seen again when Luke and Han are discovered, and last time he was seen was when Luke and Han are sentenced to death.
Okay.
But that's all. I believe that's all inside Jabba's palace.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's still out there.
Yeah. Yep. He's still out there.
He's still sitting in it. He's there in Jabba's palace just waiting for someone to ask his name.
You definitely Tic Tac. Well, I think Tim, you should write a standalone story here.
I think I will.
Someone needs to explain these skulls, because I found a pretty good picture of the staff, and there's one is clearly human, one is humanoid with like a giant forehead. I can't tell what the third one is, but one is clearly human. I want to know what's up with the staff of skulls, man. The headhunter aspect of this character.
I'm like shocked that there's no comic book out there.
That's what I mean.
Lifestyle.
There's a lot of material to work with here.
For those that want to see a really good picture, if you go on to the Wikipedia and if you just look up the Amani, Amani,
that's the one I'm looking at. Yeah,
yeah, it's a really good detailed photo of the puppet, and the staff is right there in the forefront. It is a great picture.
I think you should do a fan fiction novel called "Talking Shit: The Amanaman Biography."
This is another very fascinating character.
This character's cool.
Yeah.
That we don't know a whole lot about. We should if you're out there listening, go on our Facebook page, write your own Amanaman short story. We want to read some cool ideas here, and maybe he'll pop up somewhere.
Yeah, this is one of the few episodes that's left me wanting more.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah, he's an interesting one, and he's wide open for interpretation. Just given the parameters that Wikipedia has already said, you can come up with a whole series of stories about this guy. So, and that's all I got.
Matt, does your website have a photo of him at a toilet with his face in the toilet?
Not yet.
Damn it.
It does not. Mine it's another YouTube video, but that's just where it's hosted. It's not like a YouTube is the site. It is another one of those. This time, instead of it being Lego figures, it's action figures. Someone's doing a series called Star Wars Action Figure Theater, and episode number 2 features Amanaman very heavily. And without giving a lot of the plot away, I'll tell you that he takes exception. He pretty much gets sick of figuring Dan's music, and they get into a fight. That's the gist of his part of this episode. So I'll post that link up there. And like I said, I love this. It's not even stop motion. It's just like, they're holding the figure. Their fingers are just out of sight and they're moving them. I actually really enjoy watching when people come up with that stuff. So that's what it is. It's Star Wars Action Figure Theater episode 2.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I'll be like, I want to see everything there is on this guy.
Everything, Dave?
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
Do you want to see where he's been, where he's left, on the ground, on his chin?
What happens when he sneezes?
All right, are you ready, Chris?
Oh, what time is it, Dave?
It's time for some trivia.
Yes.
Let me recap.
Yay, trivia.
We got Tim in the lead with 13.
Cheater.
Woo.
Then Chris with 9.
Catching you.
Then Matt with 8.
Love you.
Fuck.
And I have 4.
You suck.
Thank you. So, Chris, you're first.
Okay.
Your question is coming out of the Phantom Menace era, although this question could be placed in any of the prequels. Your question is, how tall was Mace Windu?
Oh my God.
Well, last time he stood up to the wall and it drew a line above his bald head. It said...
Now, this is rough.
It said it in meters. I know that much.
I gotta tell you, this is in meters.
Well, that's how I usually measure things anyway.
Sure.
I'll have the choices.
All right. Is he A, 2.05 meters, B, 1.88 meters, C, 1.97 meters, or D, 1.78 meters?
Hold on, I'm thinking here.
You're really thinking about this.
Not yet.
Hold on.
No.
I said hold on.
No.
I think I'm ready.
Not yet.
I'm gonna say 1.88.
1.88. That's B. You
Yes.
think he's 1.88 meters tall. It's correct. Nice going.
Thank you. You know, I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah.
I'm stupid. How many meters are in like an inch?
We're not sitting here doing math.
Wait,
What do you-
how many meters in an inch? Well, you are stupid.
I know. I didn't know what a meter adds up to.
I think a meter is just over 3 feet, I want to say.
I got it right. That's shocking.
All right. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Tim,
Yes.
your question is from the Empire Strikes Back era.
All right.
But this question also could go for the entire prequels and Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, because your question is this.
How heavy is R2-D2?
What was Yoda's species?
Oh, he knows this.
Son of a... I'm going to need... No, because I think when we did Yaddle, there was no species named, if I remember correctly. I am going to go with multiple choice, please.
Okay. The multiple choice for what was Yoda's species is this. Is it A, unknown, B, Trilith, C, Yolar, or D, Yangrol?
I'm going to go with A, unknown.
That is correct.
Oh,
Suck.
that was a softball question right there.
So we're 2 for 2 with answers here. That doesn't.
It actually got me a little scared because I was like, did they give him a species name? I'm pretty sure they didn't.
Oh, I see. You were thinking like after the fact.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Matt,
All right.
your question is from the Attack of the Clones
Oh,
era.
for fuck, that's 2 in a row. If not more.
And here's the question. What famous act had occurred centuries earlier on the balcony where Anakin Skywalker and Padme were married?
You're kidding me.
Oh, my God. What famous act had happened centuries earlier on the balcony where Anakin and Padme were married?
Can't be that famous.
Yeah, exactly. It was at the soliloquy of Makumo and Zakulet.
That sounds pretty.
Well, give me the multiple choice. I don't know why, but go ahead.
Here you go. Was it A, the beloved Naboo essayist Varenko was kidnapped?
What?
Was it B, the controversial Naboo parrot Varenko was kidnapped?
I want more.
Was it C, the controversial Naboo sculptor Varenko was assassinated?
Why?
Or was it D, the exiled Coruscant painter Varenko was kidnapped?
Ah.
It's one of those.
See, oh God, I was looking for some kind of symbolism between what happened and the marriage, because we know how that ended, but there's none.
All right, it was the names there's only two names used. It's either Barenko or Varenko. And A was an essayist, B was a poet, C was a sculptor, and D was a painter.
Don't ask me.
But there's 3 kidnappings and an assassination, right?
Yes.
Kidnap, assassinated, kidnapped.
I'll go with the assassination. What the hell? Maybe it's different for a reason. It's probably different just to throw you off, but what the hell?
And it happens to be C.
How about that?
The controversial Naboo sculptor Barenko was assassinated.
All right.
It is wrong.
Oh, for God's sake.
Is it the painter?
The answer was B. The controversial Naboo poet Barenko was kidnapped.
Whatever.
It sounds like me.
I know. This is stupid.
That may be the hardest question we've had yet.
That's ridiculous. Just questions.
Who would know that? I mean, you'd have to read every book to know that.
Tim.
And I ain't got that kind
My
of time.
guess, that's probably in the Attack of the Clones novelization, I would think. I haven't read that book.
Thanks,
You're
Dave.
just, you're just laughing at the sight of my question.
I
That's
am.
pretty good.
These questions, man.
I have 4, so why
All
are
right.
we even bothering with my question?
Attack of the Clones error. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is an error.
What is the Geonosian fighter's frame constructed of?
Fighter frame. So, like, this is the ship? Like, what's the ship constructed of?
Correct.
Now, give me the choices.
Well, there's A, Duracrete. There's B, laminate steel. There's C, transparent steel. And there's D, plasti steel.
We had...
Those are the same options as that one Naboo question that Dave got a couple weeks ago. What were the bubbles made out of?
Dave and I are getting fucked over royally. We're getting to repeat bullshit.
I do. I'm as soon as you start reading those, I thought the same thing, Tim. They were choices I had on another one. Read them again.
Duracrete,
Yeah.
laminate steel, transparent steel, plasti steel.
C and D were choices in that Gunkin thing, and I can't even remember the answer to that. I will say plasti steel.
You are going with D.
Yes.
Aw.
Incorrect.
What was it?
It was B, dumbass. Transparent steel. Transparent.
Is it?
I have no idea. I have no idea.
All right. Well, that means that Tim retains his lead with 14, but Chris, you also have 10. Matt and I got ours wrong, still at 8 and 4, but you guys can still get them.
Yeah, right. If I keep getting bullshit episode 2 questions that no one would know.
Yeah,
Even George Lucas is going, what the fuck?
If your name's not Tim, you're not going to win.
Of the 4 questions that we had today, Tim's is the only one I knew.
Yeah.
Well, that's clean living, Tim.
Clean living?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we'd like to thank you for listening to our Star Wars character discussion about Amanaman.
I was like, where is it?
That's the way Matt was going to do it.
Oh, no. I'm still mad about that fucking question.
Join us next time when we discuss Poggle the Lesser.
Thanks for listening to Star Wars in Character. Star Wars in Character is part of the neozaz.com network of podcasts. For more great podcasts and original entertainment, please visit www.neozaz.com. Star Wars in Character is not affiliated with nor endorsed by Lucasfilm Limited or 20th Century Fox. Star Wars and all Star Wars universe characters, places, or Star Wars related items are the copyright of Lucasfilm Limited or their respective trademark and copyright holders. Visit www.swic.neozaz.com for the latest Star Wars in Character episodes and information.